versus G2 Esports. First ban off the board, it is Elise.
Elise is gone, and so is the top lane Rammus out of this game.
That is not okay. Not happy with that.
It's not okay right now, but it's fine. I'm actually going to be glad to see what the top lane has in store for him. Actually, I'm now really excited with that Fiora ban because we haven't had enough games on 6.4 to figure out what is outside of the Rammus, outside the Fiora, outside the Poppy. What are the next tier picks? I don't think it's going to be Nasus all the time. We had one. I wasn't super sold on it.
Yeah, that one definitely didn't work out as well, but going back into this game, the Corki's taken away. The Gragas is also banned. We've talked about Nidalee being banned away a lot, leaving the gates open for Gragas, but this time the Fat Man goes first. Yeah,
and at this point, Elise is gone, Gragas is gone. It's got to be an early pickup of Nidalee here for G2 if they're looking for it. I mean, that would make sense. It's Trick's most played jungler, so right now for Giants, they're thinking, do we ban the Kalista, do we ban the Nidalee? What do we ban from this? They look at the AD carry roll, that gives the Nidalee right over to G2.
Yeah, no hesitation. It's instantly locked in right there. Kalista's still available. Giants, if they're smart, will pick this one up here. It looks like that is the plan for Sunstar. What do they add to it?
Well, I'm looking at Emperor's champion pool, and I'm looking, is he the kind of player that's going to pick up Jhin? And this is the first time I've really realized he has Lucian, Kalista, Ezreal, and that is it. Lucian is gone.
They haven't been banning against him that much this
Exactly,
game.
But now Kalista is gone. Does he opt for the Ezreal and play a little bit later into the game? The Sivir is now available as a pickup here as we're on 6.4. Jhin, if he's been practicing it, is good into the Kalista.
Yeah, I like this from Giants, though. Taking the Braum away from Hybrid. You talked about it a little earlier on that Telestrator, how successful he has been. 7 wins out of 8 picks on that Braum. Obviously, G2 have had a lot of success across the board, but it just makes sense. Take it away, give it to Godfrey. You have a strong bot lane there. I'm liking that. Although, another thing worth noting, the Alistar's still up, but G2 have their sights set on another support, and maybe the Thresh for Hybrid.
Well, they are used to getting Hybrid on these picks that'll be able to save people as well as engage at the same time. So Alistar would be in his playbook as well. Thresh is there.
By that same definition, so is the Bard. We had a little fun Twitter banter with him talking about how he was hoping to impress Senpai Crepo.
He was, and it was pretty decent yesterday. Wasn't the best Bard we've seen, but still seemed to be a solid pick. He was catching out Azir in the late game, that kind of thing. So there's still a bit on the way of the Bard chops for Hybrid, but it's not going to be Bard. It is going to be that Thresh that gets locked in.
And the other mystery is answered as well. They take the Ezreal for Emperor, so he won't have to go too far out of his comfort zone this game. And G2 will be pretty happy with that one. Still got that Vitality game on the brain, man. That was crazy yesterday.
That was a crazy, crazy game yesterday. But, this is a poke setup if ever you've seen one. Ezreal, Western Italy, going to get in front of towers.
Well, you know what's good against poke?
Yeah, Braum is pretty good. So they are playing into the hands of Giants right now if they can group around the Braum. The problem with the Giants is, apart from a handful of games, they've been not so good in the early game and have fallen quite far behind. So if you can't actually take the poke damage, it doesn't actually help that much that you have a Braum.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it, you've got to make the assumption that teams are on equal level for pick spans. Obviously not been the case with these Giants. And how much do you disregard that as G2? We know they've fallen into the trap of disrespecting their opponents on multiple occasions. Is this the time for Giants to pull out the surprise?
The Udyr game comes to mind on that one.
That was a bit early.
So the Corki is not available for perks. Will he go for the LeBlanc that we saw in yesterday's game? He is going to be blind picking his mid laner. So we know Perkz has a number of champions he's happy with that. Played a lot of Lissandra, played the Ahri. LeBlanc games have started coming into it as well.
Well, there's a safe option, though, and that's Lulu locked in, as well as the Nautilus for Kikis. So they've got a whole lot of protection they just added on.
Yeah, they have, and a lot of that is going to go towards his later game Ezreal. It does mean that G2 could be caught in situations earlier into the game where if Giants have a high damage mid laner, somebody like a LeBlanc, that kind of thing, you might be able to pick off a squishy target, not necessarily the Lulu, because that is a difficult one for a LeBlanc. You just ult yourself and you walk away. But maybe they can get onto that Ezreal before he's strong enough, that kind of thing. It's a tough one, because there's a lot of mobility for G2 as well when it comes to the Ezreal, the Lantern from Thresh.
If you're Peppy here, he has definitely had some rough games this split, no denying it. What does he take here? He's one of the few that has played Azir. He's obviously not going to try to out-kill the Lulu. It's very hard to get that one, but how do you combo up with this team? Is the Azir the answer?
Well, Azir was banned against Giants yesterday from Fnatic, so clearly Peppy must have been playing a whole bunch of Azir. We are on 6.4 with a hotfix, where Azir's soldiers with Furor of Battle does not apply on the auto attacks there from the soldiers. So
there's bugs on the bird.
It's tricky kit, man. Tricky kit, you gotta get it. But there are those new adjustments where you can do fancy things. We saw yesterday Nukeduck bring out the Azir in a losing effort. Didn't really get to the point where you had massive damage to chunk through tanks like a Nautilus.
So keep the theme, go full Shurima if you can. But Peppy, yeah, you know, this is a specialty of his. He has been one of the few not afraid to dip into those pocket picks, and we'll see if it comes in handy for them. They've got a pretty solid front line to keep the Azir and the Kalista well protected, see if it's enough to deal with G2 Esports. It was always going to be a tough ask to face down a team with 12 wins and only 3 losses when you're looking at the opposite.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's not necessarily do or die for Giants. Somewhat of the pressure is off them because, well, they can't make playoffs anymore. It's all about the seeding now for the promotion tournament. So it is still a work in progress for these two, for the Giants at least. New players, they need some time to breathe.
Oh, yes, indeed. Now, if you think Giants can pull off this win, go ahead and hit us up at LOL Esports, hashtag GIA win. Or if you think G2, the favorites, are going to walk away with another win on the board, hashtag G2 win. And we are getting ready to see who will take the win to start this one off. Day number 2 here in Week 8 kicks off in Europe with G2 Esports and Giants Gaming to try and see if these two face down for what might be the last time this split. Looks like it'll be the case. Let's take a look. Everybody is hyped to kick this one off. And let's just get into the action right away. No more mincing words on the board between these two.
I'm looking forward to seeing another game out from the Giants with their new lineup. You look down the list, last year about this time was the time that Wisdom, he was getting a good number of games playing the Lee Sin when he was on IM, so played 6 games. Only won 2 though, so that's an old set of statistics. It's a somewhat comfortable champion for him. Let's see if he can lead Giants to a win. He's up against Trick, who has been doing a phenomenal job in the jungle of taking out people early game, and they already get the ward. They get it, Pyra.
Hey man, that's 1 CS for Trick. He's already on ahead of the game, and G2 really want to get this early pick on, but Emperor's the one who takes some damage. Sonic Wave connected from Wisdom. They'll turn the spear on, but the Sand Soldiers are already coming up. Giants say this is our jungle, but they forgot to account for Kikis. How can you miss a Nautilus? As the ward goes in the top, they've got their job done.
That's been pretty sneaky pathing from the Nautilus, even managing to get all the way through. As confident as Kikis is here, he just recalls out in the bush and says, okay, well, we got the deep vision.
It's fine, man.
Perkz is doing
ooh, Wisdom!
Ooh, wow.
Oh, I'll call that luck more than Wisdom. Not so much damage early on, but Trick thought he had the snipe. Not this day.
Man, that was closer than Wisdom would have liked to have had that. And that's actually a massive factor here because the timing on the actual recall for Wisdom was at 1:30. He started to finish the recall and he now has to back away. The camps have spawned. He's only at his Nexus here. So if, and it does seem we're in a lane swap right now, if this ends up in this situation, the push is going to be heavily delayed when they want to bring the jungler across as well.
Yeah, this could be some serious trouble already for Giants Brewing with their completely overhauled roster here. So the dual lane, having spotted the lane swap, move down a little bit later towards the bottom side.
And that's a little bit of forgiveness towards the Giants. They'll have a little bit extra time now because G2, they had to wait until the bot lane of Giants crossed through the ward they had in the top lane. That forced them to go all the way from top jungle down to bottom. So the fast push isn't quite there for G2. It's going to be a bit slower than our usual lane swap games.
Yeah, it's definitely not happening for Giants either. They're letting Sunstar freeze the wave out, so this is definitely a little bit different than what we've seen as our standard lane swap. The blue buff starting to be contested. Trick actually chases both of them out of there. Says, this is my jungle now. Godfrey goes on a roaming spree to get for Perkz. Standing in the middle of the Sand Soldier, taking a lot of damage, but he noms the Biscuit to try and keep himself alive. Now the fast push comes in for G2 though, and they have the advantage here.
This is a strange reaction from the Giants here. They bring the support down. Godfrey goes to the middle lane because they don't expect G2 to be looking to push this quickly. But G2 have all 3 people in the bottom lane right now. Kikis went alongside Hybrid and Emperor. Means their push onto the tower is a lot faster than Giants have. I mean, looking at it, it's about half a tower's health difference between the two. Only now has Sunstar and Godfrey pushed up. SmittyJ is going to join in, but this is super late. G2 have to back away though from the bottom lane. This is a messy lane swap from both sides, but G2 are trying to just get the push faster.
Definitely a wonky start. Giants will start to get the push on to try and answer back. We talked about the little tiny bits that have gone back and forth between these two at the very beginning of it. Let's see if G2 should be able to take this one out a lot quicker with the damage that they've got in their corner. Still, not too far off the mark from being even. As it starts out, we'll just have what eventually evolved into the standard lane swap.
Yes, it will evolve that way. You can see Giants have put down the customary ward behind the turret, just to make sure that when it does bounce, you have that extra couple of seconds warning for your top laner to back away. It means you don't waste any time thinking, ooh, are they here? Are they not here? I can't see them on the map. Ah, now I can see them on the map, and you back yourself away.
How's that for some surety? Emperor on his first back picks up the Cole.
Yeah.
Actually, was that his? No, that was what he initially picks up, wasn't it?
I'm gonna double check.
There was so much action, I missed.
There was a lot of action.
No.
So he starts with Doran's Blade, and I believe I'm gonna keep double checking it.
No worries. Well, there's a lot of farming to cover right now, so I'll do my best to keep it going. Peppy's gonna be able to pick this up with the help of a few soldiers. Imperial Decree says, "Give me that farm fast as you can." But everything's gonna start resetting. Obviously, you see the duo lanes kind of moving back down to their respective places after the towers had already fallen. The gold difference is fairly negligible because of all of that as well. So it's really a key to trying to get your, for G2, AD carry to the later game stages. Obviously, this is great for the Ezreal because he doesn't have any pressure early on.
Exactly, and interestingly enough, I went back and double checked it because I was doing the maths in my head. I'm like, Cole plus Sapphire Crystal plus potions. He probably had enough for a tier, and he did. So he actually opts for the mana and the Cole, just wants that stacking to get the gold faster, to get the items. Rather than the stacking of the tier, you know that's going to stack up fairly quickly anyway. You know there's going to be a point where it's at 750 for a very long time before you can actually complete everything and turn it into the Muramana. So I don't mind that from the Ezreal.
Yeah, maybe he didn't feel like crying.
Oh dear, that's gonna make me cry. If you keep
Simpler
doing
reason.
those, I'm gonna...
I got one, and the Rift Herald, they got one as well. Trick's gonna pick that one up, so he'll be able to fast push a little bit as well. We've seen this as being the signature European thing now. When we saw the teams clash at IEM Katowice, the different regions, it has been a much more prioritized buff when it's not very contested, which is most of the time.
Yeah, it's that phase in the lane swap where you've taken the towers and you were on the top side, so let's just take it because we're here and we can do it. They're not going to challenge us. It's not worth fighting over tooth and nail this early on into the game. So it's a good pickup. Interestingly enough, level 2 boots completed already by Sunstar.
Yeah.
That's because so much of this game is hands-off. He's not expecting to have to output much more damage onto a champion anytime soon. So he's just saying, okay, well, I'll just get from lane to lane faster, get back to base, back to lane faster.
Oh yeah. Speaking of going faster.
It affects his damage.
With that buff and a little bit of help from Trick on top of it, they are pushing way faster on G2's side. So this slight edge, the slight timing that they had, not to mention the Rift Herald buff, has given them, you know, a compounding here. SmittyJ's trying to get the wave bounce, but G2 are still pushing on the top side. The duo lane's finally up there, but they've got damage on it.
Yeah,
a little bit
of damage. It's like, yes, that's going to take
put
2
in a
less
little bit
autos
now,
later.
And then you get more later. Yeah, let's take a look. Trick's got his
might have to be careful
set
here.
on the Azir. Spear lands, jumps over, and he speeds his way back to tower.
If you haven't played Azir since the change, you will go to the end of that soldier where you Q2. I will stop saying that now. It's 2 days of Azir. I think we've gone through that. But it certainly means Azir is a little bit more safe in lane than he used to be. You can do the short ones and just hop all the way away.
He's experiencing a little bit more popularity as well. Definitely happy about that one. Of course, Peppy has to be as well. He's a little bit down in the CS, but he does manage to pick up a piece of his Nashor's too, so he'll be working his way towards some seriously fast autos, which of course include the Sand Soldiers. They're an extension of himself.
They are an extension of Peppy. Kind of just thinks about it and they arise out of nowhere. But Hybrid's thinking about going mid lane. Did get spotted out on that Rift Spirit as it was flying through the bottom jungle. The vision will be there from Hybrid just as it expires. So now they don't know whether he's gone or not. Peppy has to back away out to the other side. He puts down a pink ward, I believe it is, in the middle lane and actually does that basically to know which side he can play to. Because he just saw the enemy in the other side. As long as there's no jungler in the bush that he just put the pink ward in, he can play alongside that and has the vision to know he's never going to get killed.
Yeah, definitely playing the safe game. Peppy's been picked off one too many times. Now, the Dragon will get taken out. G2, definitely a team that has been able to secure themselves a high number of those this split and be able to really, really quickly overwhelm their opponents, but Giants are taking 4 members here to try and take out this tier 2. G2 are a little bit behind on this game.
Yeah, they are. It's because they stopped to do Dragon. This is a little bit of a delayed second phase of the laning of the lane swap. Yeah, Giants are going to continue pushing. They have a fair wave up here.
That's the block. Called.
I mean, they're getting this. G2 have to recall. They can't teleport in because Kicks would just die. Giants have got this.
This is going to be a 9-minute inhibitor turret. Giants are able to take the lapse in cover and take out an inhibitor turret here. G2, they've not had that happen to them in a long time.
No, it has been a while. And honestly, this is because G2 stopped for the Dragon. They were a little bit greedy when it came to their objectives and not respecting what Giants were doing in the lane swap themselves. They took the Rift Herald earlier, G2, and they're like, yeah, I guess we've got the time before we go bottom lane to take out the Dragon. So yeah, that'll be fine, right, guys? No, you end up losing the push because of how Giants had stacked a wave, then bring 4 people to it, push down the tower very quickly. No way that tower was ever going to go down for G2. They were nowhere near far enough with enough people to take down an inhibitor tower. They would have lost the inhibitor themselves if they'd stayed.
Poor trade for that Drake. And G2, they might have that extra percentage bonus ADAP, but they're going to have to come up with something more. A few deep wards as well for Giants, so they'll know when the waves come marching up onto the top side. They've sent Kickus on that clear duty just for the time being, but as big as the Nautilus is and the Riptide, it won't be able to clear quite as fast as Sunstar will when he meets up with him right there. And Godfrey looking to cut him off. The back is stopped. Kickus could be in a world of hurt, but Godfrey's actually coming for the Fate's call. There goes Kickus coming in for it. Perch trying to teleport in to make something happen. He's got a lot of damage. Pix is helping out, and that's first blood. They're looking for more. Hybrid gets the lantern over to Perch, who gets the flash on, but in comes Wisdom to kick him back. Dragon's Rage defensively as Trick has now joined the party. G2 doing what they do best. Action on the map.
Perk's flash to try and get the Glitter Lance to hit the Braum there just didn't line up, went wildly off in a different direction. Hybrid baited out the flash from Godfrey first though by flashing, and typically you'd think, oh well, the hook's coming right away, I've got to flash the hook. Hybrid just flashes. He's like, well, I'm going to get your flash. If you don't flash, I'm hooking you, flaying you back in. So pretty smart by Hybrid, just to trade Summoner for Summoner because they knew the situation. Godfrey's gone.
Oh, just like that. As tanky as the Braum is, not enough, and Wisdom's getting popped up and knocked down. The rest of Giants are here, but will it be enough to take out G2 Esports? I don't think so. Peppy, not so safe anymore as he gets popped by the rest of G2. Still a little bit of low health bars. They can't commit to the dive just yet. Meanwhile, Emperor all by his lonesome in the mid lane, just farming it up. And a hook comes on to Smitty J. Not going to follow that one in. Not when there's a wall and a Poppy.
yeah, they don't want to go into that position, but all of that was with Emperor in the middle lane as well. Just pushing up, casually pushing the mid lane, trying to get it into the tower. So G2 with a good series of events. I believe Sunstar only just joined the fight towards the end of it. He was still respawning from the previous fight and didn't have his ultimate
Let's take a look
available.
at it, how it all started.
This was the initial trade. Kickus is talking to Perks here and says, well, just come into the lane for me. Godfrey didn't use the follow-up from the Kalista ult to actually engage here, and Hybrid was already on his way. There's the flash for Flash. At this point, Hybrid is just trying to wait till they're in range and didn't quite get it. Good kick from Wisdom to keep them alive, but from here, Giants, they try and defend their turret. And you gotta respect the double hook comp here, because I can't remember who it is, but somebody just gets hooked right out of middle lane.
Well, Peppy's here, and he
Peppy
takes the run, and then he
TP's up behind.
around to the backside. He thinks he's safe, right? But then all of a sudden, Godfrey's gone.
Yeah. Godfrey gets hooked in by the Nautilus. Peppy's here, but it's not in time, and it's kind of like a 2v3 and then a 3v3 from the Giants. Peppy doesn't have the damage this early on.
The moment Peppy goes in, he realizes it's a mistake. Tries to flash, tries to get to his tower, but then he just gets popped on the head. True Shot Barrage comes in to clear that wave. Let's take a look as the action's still happening. Kickus has burned his flash to try and get away. Now he turns back around over to Wisdom, gets kicked back. Have to respect the damage and the threat of multiple members being there now. The mid tower should go down. Peppy trying to clear, but with those Herald and Power minions, not going to be enough. Peppy zooms out to freedom once again, but he's been on the back foot the rest of this game so far. 30 minutes on the clock, 4 kills in G2's pocket. They're looking to add even more to that. They have a 4K gold lead.
And this is a fairly big problem for Giants right now, with G2 looking to constantly go aggressive with this kind of siege poke composition. Giants don't really have the reliable wave clip. They have an Azir who needs time to attack down the minions. Those soldiers need multiple attacks, and he's not got enough damage this early.
Oh, hello. That was a useful flash. as he hops back over to Godfrey. Still, this tower's already gone. You know, the Blitzcrank is something that you have to expect from G2. Giants saw this coming a mile away, not just from the team comp, but with the way that G2 has played most of this split out. If you see it coming and you can't do anything about it at this point, not a lot of hope.
I mean, Giants, in this game, they showed us that at least they still have the ability to read in the early game what G2 were trying to do with the way they took the Dragon there. I mean, it's not the most difficult read that you can push, but still at least Giants showed us that. The problem is, that was kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say a fluke, because I think that doesn't really give Giants the credit for actually noticing the area, but that was G2's mistake that Giants punished. And G2 have made very few since. They let the inhibitor tower go down. Don't lose the inhibitor, it's far too early for it. And now Giants are in a situation where they're hemorrhaging towers on the map. Yes, they're not as critical the later this game goes as an inhibitor tower, but the inhibitor towers are going to come up pretty quickly for G2. That's going to be their next couple
the ones
of
that are
focuses.
left, right?
Yeah, that's, well, what I mean for G2 is that their focus is going to switch very quickly to the enemy inhibitor towers, and then you can never really capitalize on having an exposed inhibitor if you're the Giants now.
Well, they did it in the very long lane on the top side too, where G2 have typically held quite a lot of presence. It was only that lapse that really enabled Giants to push it down. And they weren't even able to get the Dragon after they decided to try and start it, though. There was a lot of vision for G2. It was their territory. So with Trick and Hybrid, that will be Drake #2 going uncontested over to G2 Esports. And now there are 3 Giants up in the top side to try and clear these waves away, keep it pushed out in their favor. They've still got an outer, or an inner rather, up there. And that's the last place the Giants have one of those on the map. So you're right about them losing towers quite quickly.
Emperor is collecting like trading cards, items right now. He's building up. He's got like a Sheen, plus a Tier, plus a pickaxe, and a build draw. He's like, I don't know what I want first. I'm just gonna...
No, I got it. This is what it makes. He makes a massive power spike all at once.
Yeah, he just waits till he's got 4K and just buys everything. Well, unfortunately, that's not quite the case. He just turned the pickaxe and the Tier into the Manamune, but still...
But still, by the way, with this patch, it does change now that you get the full effect of the tier stacks, so people aren't afraid to upgrade it quite as quickly.
Yeah, well, to explain the change for the Muramana is it changes as well. It's no longer the active toggle that you have, it's just always passive. Anytime you hit a champion, it'll take the mana from you and deal the extra damage. You don't have to turn it on and turn it off. I know I always forget to do it, but I'm bad, so...
Well, you know, it's preaching to the choir right now, Stress. I'm glad of the change, personally, because, yeah, I always forget to turn it off, and what you want is always to hit the champions and not the me. So it's like the new version 2.0.
Speaking, Pyra, of itemization, very confident from Trick. He's got a Dark Seal.
Oh, he does.
And let me tell you, that's not because he wants the extra regeneration from potions. He's got that because he's like, well, I don't intend to die for the rest of this game, and I'm just going to get all of this AP. So no stacks on it yet. Yesterday we saw one on Janna in the Vitality game. Didn't really go so well for, I think it was Kasing's Janna, but we'll see if Trick, he's been having a lot of these early game aggressive trades, so if he does get a kill or two, that very quickly becomes a very strong item if you can stack it up.
Another Rift Herald started by G2. They've gotten 2 this game. This would be the last available. Giants might want to try to fight for this, actually. Not so common that you see the Rift Herald being fought over, but they do stop it. Now there's a teleport coming in from the backside. A teleport coming in, another one from the backside, but the fight has already started as Kikis gets knocked out by the Bramble. Trick takes out Peppy, but he's trapped in the Emperor's Divide, just having a laugh of it all. And the Poppy changes her mind. Smitty realizes that might not be the best place to go, burns his flash to get out of town, and he slams the hammer down to try and pick him back, but the depth charge knocks him back up. Godfrey trying to get the save off. Smitty already low, True Shot Barrage, completely whisked, but Emperor doesn't care. Nautilus Hook comes in, Godfrey bleeding out at this point, and they are just going all for it. Wild Growth to knock him up. Kikis gets the kill. They pull in Wisdom. He's going to have to safeguard away. Giants getting run down into their own base.
And it's G2 starting another fight. This is what we've come to expect from this G2 Esports team. It's like if they can ever see an opening to fight and it even remotely makes sense to them, they're like, let's just go, guys. TP, their numbers are going to be in our favor because this Poppy hasn't TP'd in time either. So let's get in there, get the fight, and we blow up Heavy before it even begins. I mean, Trick, he got enough stacks off that fight himself, got 3, and now they're looking for the Rift Herald as well on top of that. So another good fight for G2. Giants, they've got a composition where a lot of their damage from their mid laner should be coming from later into the game, and they just don't have that time. This is the opening. Hybrid couldn't find the hook for himself, but Kikis sucks in 3 people here. He absorbs the damage from 3 and just hits people a couple of times, gets that staggering blows, and he's like, okay, well, my job's done in this fight.
Yeah. Well, and first, the rest of them were just had so much damage to take out Peppy really quick. Barely enough time to get the Emperor's Divide off, and just sat there laughing after the fact.
I was so hoping that Hybrid could follow up on the Poppy ult as Thresh there.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask Krepo about this, whether there is that small timing window, but it's one of those abilities that if you've ever seen a Nautilus hook at the right time hit a Poppy as she ults him away, they had one on, I think it was NA Challenger, and Cyrene just burst out laughing. I was laughing for a good like 10 minutes after seeing it. I hope we get that interaction, but I haven't seen it in pro play since.
Because I haven't seen
yeah, it's good. It's good. Like
very rarely do you get those good ones. I do remember back in the day though, I was playing Tristana, and it was the same thing with Thresher. You try to leap and you just get goinked back. Because it's a dash, it's not actually a jump.
Yeah, it's the fastest I've ever seen a Nautilus move, though.
Oh, that's, yeah, I can't wait to see that one if it happens.
Oh,
okay,
and just wants to flash, or
yeah,
try
that
to flash.
Divide. Ooh, okay, be careful there. He's got a beat on him, though.
Yeah, the beat's on him. I was like, Caitlyn's in this game. No, that's just one of those visual things that with the spectator on Azir's turret, we'll follow him around for a while.
Speaking of following, Peppy gets knocked in, and the depth charge is up. Kikis gets pulled right back on in, and the inhibitor is open just like that. It is just under 20 minutes. G2 are starting to break the base open of Giants. Look like they haven't got a prayer in this one to try and stay alive. Kick back, no. Wisdom gets it on him first. Can they polish him off before it's done? Not quite yet. He's still hanging in there. Finally falls down, but Trick has already picked up a killing spree for himself. Now Smitty holding the line between 3, but a double kill comes in for Trick. Looking for more onto Sunstar. That's a whole heaping helping of damage, and now Kikis will knock him with the anchor, but Emperor gets the kill credit. Chasing Godford around. He's the last man standing here. Not able to do much more. He might go down. He is. That's the ace. 20 minutes. G2 are going to take it.
You said it, 20 minutes. This is G2 ending the game. 20-second death timers right now, and G2 are like, yeah, we got this, guys. We're on the way to the top. We're still trying to book our spot in there in Rotterdam.
Yeah, definitely making a huge statement here in the fastest game we have had this split. G2 Esports, Wisdom can't do a thing here. They're going to end it out just under 21.